Hello, it's Jimmy. Today I want to talk about how not having a credit score has really not impacted my life at all. Now, I stopped making credit card and car payments and even house payments a couple years ago, and I haven't had a need for credit because really it's just putting myself back in debt if I were to do that. And that has been something I have enjoyed not having the burden of making payments for things and living within my means. And it's especially important now that I don't have a full time job. I don't think I would even be able to really get credit anywhere. And that's fine with me. Everything that I would really need to have, I would rather do without making payments on and owing my future self minus the interest. I was just looking at the American Express website to see what they have to say about not having a credit score. And of course, they have a pretty dim view on it. They say it's going to hurt if you want to make a large purchase or maybe even rent an apartment. Now, that may be the case. Obviously, buying a house, nobody has $400,000 in cash just sitting around. So perhaps a home mortgage might be in order. Of course, a credit card company is going to tell you that you need to have a bunch of open credit and a high score, and they can help you get there. That's how they make their money. That's what they're in business to do. So, of course, it makes sense that they're going to tell you that. Now, the reality is, I have been living for many years without needing to even access any credit. I have not really checked my score. There's no need for me to do that. I know at one time it was in the 800s, 825, 826, but even then it didn't really mean much to me because I didn't use credit to the full extent that I had available to me. I've been somewhat debt adverse my whole life, and towards the end of using debt, I just wasn't that interested in it. I don't need to know what the number is, if it even exists. There's no such thing as zero. However, a credit score can basically be undeterminable because you don't have any open history, no open credit or any of that. After I closed all of my accounts and paid off all my debt, I made sure that my credit was frozen so that people couldn't go in and fraudulently open up accounts in my name. So I do go in through the Federal Trade Commission's website. I go to the official ftc.gov website to get to the link for the free annual credit report. So every American is entitled to go and check their credit report for free once a year. And there are three companies that report: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And you are entitled to one free detailed report from them each year. So there are three of them, and I spread it out. I don't grab them all at once. About once every 4 months, I take one from one. Next 4 months, I grab another from the other, and then another 4 months, I grab the third one. So throughout the year, I'm checking those reports to make sure there's no open credit or fraudulent activity. The importance of going through the Federal Trade Commission's website is if you Google or search for free credit report, you're going to get a lot of paid sites. Some of those may actually be stealing your information. Well, if you give it to them willingly, is it stealing? But they may be doing nefarious things with it, such as signing you up for a bunch of junk mail. Who wants that? What disadvantages have I run into by not having a credit score? Well, nothing. I don't need a credit card. I've been traveling just fine without one. Everything that I need to do, I can do with my debit card as far as making reservations and renting things and buying stuff online. So no issue there. Well, how about a car? What if I wanted to buy a car? Well, I have money saved up for that. I save a little bit of money each month and put it away in a savings account for car repairs or a car replacement. And because I don't buy brand new cars, I was just at the auto show last week and I looked at a few vehicles. I really like the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, but that thing's $85,000. I don't have that much cash sitting in my car savings account, and even if I did, that's a little too expensive for my taste, we'll say. Well, how about if I want to buy a new house? Well, of course, I'd have to sell this one first and then take that money and buy a new one. Now, that would be kind of interesting. If I wanted to move out of state, how would that work? I'd still need to live in my house until I could buy a new house. But if I did did want to buy a different house, all I would do is make a contingent offer on selling this one. And of course, I'd have a little money, earnest money to put down if I wanted to make a serious offer. So there are ways around that without even getting a home loan. As long as I buy something that costs less than what I would net from selling this house, well, I would have no issue. Well, let's assume for a minute that maybe I have a bunch of open credit or I have a high credit score at this point in my life and I'm not really using the credit, but I have it available. Maybe I've got a credit card sitting there with a $25,000 limit on it. I could go into the bank and get a signature loan because they know that I'm good for it. It still wouldn't matter because there's nothing that I need or want that I would need credit for. All going back to maybe renting an apartment. I'm not planning on doing that. But let's just say we wanted to move and we had an offer on the house, but we didn't have a new house picked out yet. So we sell this one and go rent somewhere. Well, if they look and say, well, you don't have a credit score, you can't rent this apartment. Well, that's fine. I just call up the next apartment. Eventually you'll find one. It's not that hard. If an apartment complex only uses a credit score to say yay or nay to renting people, I don't think that's a very good method for checking the character of somebody. A credit score is only a measure of how well you handle debt. It really doesn't have anything to do with how you live other parts of your lives. There are people with excellent credit that are criminals. There are people like me that have no credit score who are definitely not criminals. Now that my life is completely a debt-free one and I move at the speed of cash, I probably will never have a use for credit. But I guess one reassuring thing is perhaps if I ever did want to open up a credit card, there's no shortage of companies that are willing to let you get back in the game. But to me, it is just that, a game. And I don't have the patience to play it anymore. Well, that's all I've got to say on not having a credit score. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day.